Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Cougar, the Bitch, and the Wardrobe. I'm your host, Lana Mazer, also known as Curated by the Cougar. And I'm here today with my friend, Blanche Garcia. She is an extremely talented interior designer. Her company called Garcia Designs. And we are here to talk about what your home says about you. I feel like I've spent a lot of time over the past couple of months talking about how fashion is such an expression, a self expression that shows your personality, your creativity. And I also feel that way about interior design, but I haven't had the opportunity to really talk about it and showcase that. And so here we have Blanche. I would love for you to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your background, and then we can get into it together.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. I'm really excited to talk about this subject because my background has been about 30 years in interior design. I think you know that, to those who don't know. I've had Garcia Designs since I was literally an infant. I think I came out of the womb with like a color chart or something like that. And I've just kind of always done it and I loved it. And I think there's so many avenues that you can go with design. We work with a lot of hospitality clients, commercial, we do residential, all women, and it's been all over. I've done TV like Hotel Impossible and Travel Channel. I did that for about 5 seasons. I've done HGTV, Design Star back in the day, the original one. So a lot of different things. I've written a book. So there's like a lot that I've done out there that isn't just design centric. I do
Yes.
feel like design, just like fashion, is an extension of who you are. And there's so many different avenues to go through. And then about 2020, I had like kind of the tipping point in my life. A lot of people went through a lot of things during the pandemic. For me, there was a different type of tipping point, and I do
Okay.
talk about openly, but it was basically the start, the impetus of Conscious Home by BGD. And what that did was it marries, and it did and still does, it marries kind of my love for holistic living and intuitive living and kind of checking in with what works for you on a spiritual and energetic level, but also it coincides in the intersection of design. And so you'll see a lot of modalities that are out there, like you'll see feng shui, you'll see human design. You'll see like a lot of those types of things. This was a little bit different for me because I created the archetypes. The archetypes, it's accessible through a quiz that we put out there. The quiz is just a fun way to access what your archetype is. But
Yes.
really, what it meant for me was that in 2020, I realized I had just had my daughter. I went through kind of like my own personal crisis. And through that, I realized that a lot of the things that I had already been doing, I thought they were elective. Like when I was single and I got married later in life, I was just like, yeah, I need a little bit quiet time to like recuperate after I'm
Yes.
out and being like on with people and being in crowds. Yeah, I need like low lighting. I like soft music. I don't like, super big crowds. Like there were things that I liked that I just thought I liked, and even going in nature, blah, blah, blah. And then 2020 hit. And when I hit that crisis mode for me and having my daughter, I realized that a lot of those things were not elective. They were integral for my own well being. And as a woman who is older, who had a child, and I'm in perimenopause, I'm also neurodivergent. I'm pretty sure I'm a little autistic, even though I've never been tested. You name the gamut. But I
Yes.
didn't realize those things until after. And then I said, oh, wow, I hadn't been doing the things that really were part of my own nurturing self care. We had just moved into the house, so we had no artwork up. You're like bare bones, right? Bare
Yes.
bones, just had a baby, about to enter perimenopause. Cue crisis.
Yeah.
Oh, and a pandemic. Um,
All the
yeah,
things.
all the things. And then once I went through this whole like little crisis for myself, I was like, how do I introduce these things back in? And I realized as I was noting them down and as I was going through like adding back in meditation, going outside to ground, introducing certain colors into my space, just like scent and blah, 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 you name it. I was like, oh my God, like this is not just elective. This is how I heal. This is how I live. And it's
Yes.
not separate from what I do. This is not like an aesthetic. This is not an option. This is integral for me living my best life, being the healthiest and most well rounded version I can be. And this is also the foundation in how I get to my next version of me. So I created Conscious Home really as an answer for
For
me, but
you.
I kind of
Yes.
divided it into different quadrants and to meet people where they are, not a separate support identity, which I
Yes.
think feng shui does. Feng shui is like kind of like, don't put red in your bedroom, it'll freak you out, it'll make you too amped up. But some people love red, they have an amazing connection to it. And so that would
Yes.
make sense for them. So one is fitting into somebody else's kind
Mm.
of like modality and framework. And the
Yes.
other is having it meet you where you are. And that's what conscious home is for me.
I love that, and I think that really resonates with me, and especially also, obviously as a woman, I also got married later. I had my children later, and having gone through certain things in my life, you evolve,
Yeah.
things change for you, and in terms of like my own journey with my home, I just recently repainted it because it just didn't feel right to me. I had gone through a divorce and I needed to change things, change the energy in certain rooms. And it was just a feeling
Yeah.
that I had. And I think it's so interesting because the same, with fashion or interior design as a self-expression, there isn't a one size fits
No,
all at
no.
all. And I'm sure as you have, I'm sure you've gone into people's homes and I've walked into a room or a home and I'm like, wow, this doesn't seem like a reflection of the people in this house.
Yeah.
Like they hired someone, they did aesthetically
And then
pleasing.
they masked. They
Yes.
put on the mask of what they thought it should look like, or what their
Yes.
friends had, or what was in a magazine, because
Right.
that seemed like what they should
Should
do.
do.
Yeah.
Right. But then there's such a major
Yeah.
disconnect, and probably not for everyone, because I know you feel people's energy, you're very in tune. I To a certain extent I feel that way too.
Yeah.
So when I've experienced that in people's homes, for me it's very off-putting right away.
It's very jarring. And I think,
Yes.
listen, my intuitive sense and what I call my spidey senses, they
Yes.
probably came more online with 2020 and a lot of the evolution work that I did within myself.
Yes.
And I think that we all have that. I don't think that we're separate from that. Our
Mhm.
soul work and who we are as an energetic being is basically who we are. What we wear, our meat body, and the things we do every day that society has told us to be and do,
Yes.
that's the mask, by the way. And that's the
Absolutely.
existence that we have today. But
Yes.
we are all these energetic beings. So we have the capacity to tune in. It's just that we forgot, or we've been taught to like avoid it, or anytime any like, anything, we whisk it away.
Totally. Like it's just sometimes because it brings up a lot of things that can be upsetting. And we also we sweep it under the
We
carpet.
logic it away. We
Yes,
go, oh, that doesn't make sense. I'm just saying that to myself.
yes,
And then, you hear
yes,
tons of stories like that.
yes, absolutely. And I do agree with you. And just in my own experience, for me, a lot of my own expression, self work, self reflection has really come about for me in the last few years,
Yeah.
definitely since the pandemic. And I always thought of myself as someone who I was very self aware, and I did always think a lot, and I've been in and out of therapy my whole life,
Yeah.
but definitely within the last few years, it has really come to more of where it plays a larger role
Well,
in
it's
my
coming
life.
into the 3D. So what happens is the more authentic that we are, and I mean, I've known you long enough to see your authenticity kind of rise where you're embracing it more and more, right? So the more that we do that on a human level, the
Yes,
more energy and human collide. We up level. And so then your spidey senses, your intuition, you're not just reaching for something, you are embodying. And when you are embodying, then all of these things start coming to you. You start seeing synchronicities more. You start listening to yourself more. And it's like a muscle. It's like if I go to the
yes.
gym and I keep working out, guess what? My muscles start reacting. So
Hmm.
what you're doing is your authenticity is triggering this energetic, like kind of like signal to say, hey, by the way, I'm tuning in and I'm trusting myself. And then your whole guide party is just like, yes. And they're like, woo. And then they just like start showing you stuff like, give her more ones, give her another thing, like
Yes.
another feather.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. And so, if you could tell me and my listeners a little bit more about the intersection of home and identity, um, really how our living spaces reflect our personal identity.
Sure. So this is something This is something that has been talked about for centuries. This is not new. But what has happened is that as we've evolved, we've gotten away from, our natural sense of connection.
Yeah.
And we've done it in a lot of ways. I could go on for hours and hours how we've done it, you know, through male, female, we've done
Hmm.
it through fashion, we've done it through you name it, we have done it. And we're now at this precipice of time, which is actually it's amazing. As much as like it's a dumpster fire of like the political scene and what's going on in the world, we are on this cracking open of where people are realizing that they're wanting more for themselves.
Hmm.
Now, there are different outlets for that, and the home is one of them. And in 2020, you saw a lot of people say, I want to work from home, or they had to work from home, and they're like, I'm comfortable working from home. Hey, wait, why am I spending 2 hours to get into work? Why am I going in this rat race? Why isn't my home reflecting me? I want to see more light. So we're starting to gravitate.
Yes.
And like I said, I've been doing design now for about 30 years. And back in the day, nobody used to say, they used to never walk in a room and say, oh, the energy feels anything energy. There was never that language.
Right.
So we're in a different place. And so what happens is that we are starting to understand how it's meeting us. And you're seeing that in trends. And I say that word lightly in the
Hmm.
sense that it's not a trend. People are bringing in biophilia, nature. They want to feel connection to the outdoor because we've lost some of that.
Yeah.
Light, they're bringing in more light. It used to be like you saw it, the evolution, the 80s, the 90s, glossy, like metallics, reflective. Everything was like, you know what I mean?
Yes, I remember when my parents redid our family room in 1986 and everything was lacquered and
Yes,
shiny.
that's what I mean. And everything like bounced off, right?
Yes.
And that may still work for people. What's happening is
Yes.
that there's a little bit of a reset. And your home, all the things you do, just like all the senses that we have, they're asking their home to meet them with all these senses. Now, it
Okay.
doesn't have to be like it's super expensive bougie. It could literally be that, you go to IKEA and you mix it with things that you find on the internet on whatever,
Hmm.
secondhand. It could be a lot, or it could be like high fashion, whatever works for you. But
Yes.
what's happening is our nervous system, we're learning that we need to regulate it. When we regulate, especially as women, our nervous system, where we get the capacity to hold more
Yes.
wealth, more abundance, more life, because our nervous system is more relaxed. It's directly tied to our spiritual connection. So the home, if it's unnerving you, our nervous system is kind of shot. So why wouldn't you want to work in alignment with that? So some of the things
Yes.
that I really talk about is scent. What's the scent of your home? Lighting systems, like are they 2700 Kelvin? Do you have dimmers on things to like
Yes.
adjust where you need? Is there clutter everywhere? Because if you have everything filled, guess what? There's no room for new growth, for new love, for new whatever. Are things broken in the home? Because if they're broken, guess what? Energetically broken. So you
Yes.
want like clearing, you want bringing outdoors in, you want natural light, you want colors that spark you in different ways. And
Yeah.
color, to me, as you know, in fashion,
Yes.
is one of the surest, quickest way, other than scent, for you to shift your energy. And so, like,
Absolutely.
that is like also
Yes.
game changer.
Yes. No, as I mentioned just before, that my family room downstairs, the whole room had been painted white.
Hmm.
When I first moved into the house 8 years ago, I painted it white. Maybe it was like a little bit grayish toned. And I just had that room completely color washed, walls, ceiling, all the same color in a shade of blue that I felt made me feel held, cozy. Even though it's blue and you think it's a cool color, it just feels like this little cocoon now when I sit on the sofa with my kids.
Hmm.
Just with changing it with paint color. It
Yeah.
changed the
Paint
whole.
is probably the cheapest thing you
Yeah,
could do
that's
to
what I was gonna say.
change. Yeah.
So like with talking about things that are affordable, paint in a second. It's not expensive, and you can change the feel of a room right away.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
especially a lot of people can do it themselves. Like I
Yes.
talk about this even, on my social and on my podcast and things like that. And I'll always get people who go, "Well, I can't afford this," or like must be nice, or like, you hear all
Mhm.
those things. And I totally get it.
Of course.
Everybody, by the way, is at different places, but we all are there is struggle no matter what. Like no matter what price point you're at, there's always like a pain point to that, right?
Yes.
There's
Yes.
not like there's nobody who's like at a certain level, but there's no pain point. So
Right.
whatever level you're at, there is a pain point to your level.
Yes.
So do what works for you. Like people will go,
Yes.
well, I can't go out and buy X. Well, bring in fresh flowers from like outside or bring in some pine cones. Like light a candle,
Yes.
change the way your lighting is, put it like a dimmer you could plug in, you know, paint yourself, bring in new sheets, you know,
The
pillows.
new sheets and bedding I love also that
Yeah,
changes a room,
everything.
everything.
It changes
Yes.
even like, I make my bed every morning, and my husband, when we got married, he was just like, "Why like, we're just gonna get back in it." And I was like, "I get that, but I need to energetically feel ready for my day, and I wanna come back to a well-made bed."
Yes, I
I feel
agree.
better getting
Yes.
into it. I don't feel like I'm, like, disheveled in life.
Well, and I forget where I read this, but they say that the most successful people are the ones that make their beds in the
Right,
morning.
right, because you're, like you're shifting the energy. It's kind
Yes.
of like you're saying to the universe, "I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I'm
Yes.
ready."
And I'm trying to impart that knowledge onto my children. It's every day a
Yeah,
fight to get them
yeah,
to make their bed. But
yes.
I'm the same way. It's like I get up in the morning, I make my bed because I want to it makes me feel ready for the day.
Yeah.
And then at night, I want to get into a beautifully
You're
made
doing
bed.
yourself like, a gift for later. It's like
Yes.
you're pre-gifting yourself. You know, it's like
Yes.
when you go out and you're
Yeah.
drinking and you put your, like, water by the bedside and you do all the things and you run the
Yes.
dishwasher because then
Yes.
when you get home, it's, like, less things you have to think about and you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, thank you. You put water by the bed. Oh, thank you." It's like you
Right. And it's like the same idea. Like, why does it feel so special like
Yeah,
when we stay in a hotel?
exactly.
Because there's turn down service. So we're basically providing our own turn down service.
100%. I mean,
Yes.
even for my daughter, when my daughter's having a deregulated day,
Yes.
like full moon. So whenever there's a full moon, we don't sleep well. There's a lot of dream. I do a lot of astral projection when I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
And so I noticed like leading up to never the night of the full moon, but leading up, it's like I'm traveling. I'm like George Clooney's in my dream. I'm
Oh.
clearing timelines. I'm literally like, it's like insane.
Yeah.
And my daughter's the same way. So on
So,
days
yeah.
like that, what I'll do is I'll do essential oil, like a little bit of lavender on her pillow and on her teddy bear. And I make
Oh.
sure that the lights are lowered.
Yes.
And I just make sure that it is set for her regulation because she's already going to be deregulated and she's
Yes.
not going to understand what that feels or means. She's too young to name it.
Yes.
But whatever I can do energetically to support that, I give her food that's grounding and nurturing. I make sure that like there's certain things I put on even like self fuego, I'm gonna say it wrong, frequency, where it's like frequency music in the background if I'm cooking. And it just
Yes.
like I notice it just shifts everything for her.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to have to talk to you about this later because I have two boys, as you
Yeah.
know, they're 10 and 12.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to understand sometimes because, I was never a 10-year-old boy or a
Yeah.
12-year-old boy. But there's certain things that I find also they get deregulated. And that's really interesting and helpful
Well,
just
they
in
come
terms of
home from
like,
school and there's a
yes,
lot of energy. They're having to mask and be a certain way and told what
they're
to do.
holding it in all
And then they
day.
get home
Mhm.
and then they're just like unleashing, right? And
Yes.
I understand that, but anything I can do to help support that. And listen, we're human, I'm human. There are moments
Yes.
that I literally am like, okay, mommy's gonna lose it. I'm really gonna try to talk through this because mommy's gonna like really try
Mhm.
not to, you know.
Mhm. I don't know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah. And you're just like, you know, but then if I can regulate, and it's so crazy because
Yeah.
now my husband, we will literally, the other day, he'll say to me, we got in the car, and all of a sudden he starts playing something. And I was like getting ready in the car, and I was like rushing, and we're getting in, and I'm buckling ever in, and da da
Yes.
da. And then all of a sudden I'm like, are you playing frequency music?
Oh,
And he
wow.
was like, yeah. He's like, energy upgrade for this session. And I was like, oh, I think I love you. I think it's working for
Like
me.
today I
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
I think today I feel
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. It's
yeah.
so funny. Yeah. I love that. I realize, like, for me in the evenings, I've been listening to Audible at
Mhm.
night, and I found that that's been really relaxing
Mhm.
for me, like, also a different kind of frequency to sort of bring myself down, or I
Yeah,
guess
of
regulate
course.
myself at the end of
Yeah.
the day. Yeah. And instead of watching TV or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
which is the energy of itself. Like,
Yes.
you know, it's really interesting like what you allow in and there are many people that they're okay with whatever. They're able to tune it out. I have found that the more sensitive that I have become, the less I'm able to energetically tolerate certain things. And that's why like my husband will come home and he'll be like, I can't see in here. The lights are like so low.
Yeah.
Or like I don't watch really TV. So
Yes.
there's certain things I can't just do anymore that I used to. Like I used to watch like the crime shows and all that stuff
Me
before I had
too.
my daughter.
Yeah.
And then I went through my own kind of spiritual awakening in 2020 and my daughter, and now I can't watch anything. Same thing with alcohol or certain things. Like my
Yes.
energy just can't sustain that. And it's not that it's like, oh, this is such like you're separate from human.
Yes.
It's more that like I have to pick and choose. I have to be intentional with it because just like you can walk into a room and sometimes feel something and you're like,
Yes.
this feels off to me. I
Yes.
feel like the more authentic you get and the more tuned in you get, right? Which I think all of us are having to be. I talk to people that they're more in tuned,
More in tune.
that
Mhm.
you have less space for in like authentic, you know.
I mean, I definitely feel that way for myself, and I recognize that for a lot of people, people have this thirst more than ever for authentic connection
Yeah,
and
100%.
conversation, and then also creating that in our homes and in our workspaces as well. um and so I love what you're saying about like how the space can reflect someone's personal identity. What elements in a home do you think tell the most about a person's character, or is there a room specifically that like when you walk into someone's house that you really pick up on who they
Oh,
are?
100%. So I can usually tell how generous a man is. I can usually tell what a woman's focus is on by
Mhm.
what's in their house. And I can usually tell if a house is a happy home. And I don't care what people tell me, they can tell me they're happy,
Mhm.
but I can tell by your house.
Okay.
And that is a very polarizing comment. I've had people say, like, oh my God, but I don't have blah, blah, blah. And it's like, that's separate from this,
Yeah.
meaning that so I have had clients and even in my own experience where you see people will spend certain money on things that are important to them.
Yes.
And depending on who holds the purse strings, you'll see that in the house. So you may see a very large TV, very large 80-inch TV in a room that cannot fit that. We've all seen it, right?
Yes.
But yet you see a laundry room that is like white bare walls and there's nothing put in it because who's doing the laundry?
Mhm.
Women.
Mhm.
So the men, the things that they pay attention to, that's what they have. The
Yep.
things that women pay attention to, they're like, oh, but you're just in there basically doing my laundry. You're only in there for like 20 minutes. Like, why do we have to spend money on this? So you see it like that. And you
Yes.
see the reverse too. You see it where a woman loves to shop and she's out buying tchotchkes everywhere and she's consuming and consuming. And when that happens, when I see like just stuff and they just can't be without buying, I'm like,
Yes.
what are you trying to fill? What are you trying to fill?
Yes.
And also, where's the harmony? Where's the intention in the space? So I see a lot of that. And then when I see like the house is devoid of like color, they haven't put the art up. They only eat on certain dishes. They're turning off. Listen, we're all in a different economy than we
Total
were years ago.
Sure.
But when I see that they're not actually loving themselves, they're not being like nurturing to themselves. I don't
Mhm.
see any candles. I don't see any throw pillows. They haven't put the art up because they don't think it's an expense they need to spend on. They're waiting until like they're forever home. Um Things like that. They haven't
Yes.
like done they haven't made themselves loved in the space they're in. Then I'm
Yes.
saying you're not giving to yourself. You're not allowing yourself to feel joy now because life is uncertain. So if you are not supporting yourself, and I don't care, it could be an ugly home, but if I don't see some throws, if I don't see lived in, if I don't see kids kind of like allowing to be kids,
Mhm.
if I don't see family pictures, if I don't see things on wall, you should be able to enjoy your fine china now. You should be able to wear what you want now. You should be able to put sheets on that you love now. We all have, like, I have dogs, I have kids,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And it's not like I'm going to go out and buy Gucci right now because I'm not. It's not what I personally care
Mhm.
about. You probably are like, it's what I need. I totally get that. For me, I literally need different things. So it's not
I
what
do need
I
it.
know.
I
You're
do
like,
need it
I need
sometimes.
Gucci, right? You're like, I need Gucci, right?
But listen, I get it. I get it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like what I need like some sort of like I need to go on a retreat.
Yes,
I
yes,
need, for me, I'm
yeah,
like, I need solo time to read my
yeah.
book. I need,
Hmm.
I do like a lot of skincare, or
I
I'll do
love some skincare.
like
Yeah,
my nutritionist
yeah,
slash my energetics people.
yeah.
Like I have a list. My dog has an energy healer. Like we need different
I think
things. Do
mine,
you,
my
you
dog needs an energy
yeah.
healer.
So like, I have different needs where people would be like, "Oh my god." But like that's where my money goes, right? But
Yeah,
everybody's different, but your house doesn't have to be like aesthetically beautiful, but I need to know that joy lives there. I need to know that you care about what you love and you've put some time into that.
yes. No, it makes so much sense to me because I'm thinking to myself, I'm laughing to myself too, because when I moved into this house, there was a couple, I actually never met them because, like, you don't have to ever see anybody at the closing. Everything is,
Mhm.
and I'd spoken to the former owners on the phone. It was a husband and wife. And I think between them, they had three daughters. And then he had a daughter from a previous marriage. And the house, the decor was not my taste
Yeah.
at all. I mean, for me, I found it very unappealing. But when I walked into this house, I knew that it was a happy home.
Yeah.
I felt it. I felt even with the way that the decor was, and they had things on the walls that was not my taste.
Right.
It was not a reflection of. I mean, why should it be a reflection? I wasn't living there, but like I could tell that it was a home that was happy.
Right.
Yes.
And I think that's the difference.
Yeah.
I think that, there's the designer Blanche, and I get like what should
Yeah.
be with like balance and
Yeah.
with function and all of that, right?
Yeah.
And then there's the energetics of a space. And I
Yes.
think you can tell when somebody has a lack of either love for self or a lack of happiness or restraint, or
Yes.
there's too much rigidity, or
Yes.
they're it's almost like they're like, I cannot allow myself to experience that joy. And you're like, really? Because it was a $20 candle. Or you could have gone outside and gotten some flowers, or you could have bought
Yes.
something on Etsy, an art piece that was
Yes.
like, or had a friend drawing. Like you could have
Yes.
put it up, or you could have invested in yourself. And that's
Yes.
what really what that is.
Yeah, and I think that's also like what I had wanted to get into more with you today is like how the home is a reflection of how you feel
Yeah.
about yourself and what you think you necessarily, maybe what you deserve or don't deserve, or I don't know. It's
No,
just,
it
yeah.
100% is.
Yes.
Um, I don't think beauty has to be super expensive. And I
Yeah.
also don't think that just like fashion has to be the most expensive piece to be the most iconic piece.
Agreed.
And so I think that when you are having self love and when you are exhibiting, like, I'm ready to invest in myself, it shows up in a lot of different ways.
Yes.
And the universe reflects that. So, what conscious home is for me is that when you are creating the space that you are going to wake up, go to sleep in, meditate in, manifest in, the backdrop to your life, when you are investing in that, what happens is the other pieces of your life actually start reflecting that, because energy attracts energy. It is not
Yes.
intention. Me saying I want to be happy and a millionaire and I want the love of my life to come in doesn't mean that's going to happen. I don't care if I say it 50 times a
Hmm.
day. What is going to trigger that is if you are embodying that. And the only
Yes.
way to embody that is mind, body, soul. So, mind, body, soul, and throughout all the reflection into the 3D is the
Yes.
fashion, is the extension of the home,
Yes.
is the how we take care of our body,
Yes.
right?
How we show
The
up for
words that we
ourselves.
we speak out of our mouth,
Yes.
the things that we listen to, the things that we feed our body. These are
Yes.
all things that are important, right? But
Yes.
the embodiment can't happen. I can't say to myself, I deserve this and this is the life I want to live, if I'm waking up to bare walls and 50-cent sheets I haven't changed in like 5 years. I'm
Yes.
not caring about letting light in. Everything's dark and cloaked, and I'm just like a vampire. And I'm just like,
Yes.
oh, let me just get out of my house as quick as possible. I just need to eat, sleep, and get out.
Yes.
That doesn't happen. There's a disconnect there.
There's yeah, absolutely. And I was listening to what you were saying too about like also this like rigidity as well, because I grew up in a home that was very aesthetically beautiful, but my parents treated it like it was a museum.
Hmm.
We were not allowed to touch anything.
Right.
And they were very nervous, like, don't touch this, don't sit here, don't use that, don't, and And I remember they had this formal living room. And my sister and I talk about it to this day and we laugh about it because it's crazy.
Did you have it roped off with a runner?
Well, it wasn't necessarily roped off, but there was like a step to go into the living room. And my parents were like, that's where you can sit on the step.
Yeah.
We weren't allowed to go into the living room. So, like, my father would come home from work at the end of the day and he would put on, I mean, this was even like, I'm dating myself here because this was even before there were like CDs.
Yeah.
He would put on his record and pour himself a scotch and sit down on the, I guess it was like, I'm trying to remember the name of the fabric. It's going to come to me. It's
Is it velour?
no, and it's with the C and it's French. And I don't know for some
Oh,
reason.
chinoiserie.
Yes, yeah, yes, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Or
chintz.
chintz.
It was chintz.
Yeah, I was like, it's
It was
chintz.
chintz.
It's either chinoiserie or chintz.
It was chintz.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he would sit himself down on the sofa. I'm like, my sister and I, like, we wanted to like be with our dad. Like he was just came home from work, but like we had to sit on the step.
Yeah.
Like we could. I mean, it sounds crazy.
No, my mother's Latin, and
Yes.
I think in a lot of like Italian, Latin,
Yeah.
Polish, you name it, households,
Yeah.
there was the plastic cover. So
Mm.
we had the plastic cover.
Okay.
We had a runner that went through my mother's white living room, and then there was also like the little like you're in a club VIP. There was like the little ropes that you couldn't get into the living room.
Yes.
And yeah.
Yeah, and it's just so crazy now for me to think about it because even like as I mentioned earlier, when my parents redid the family room,
Right.
that's where they decided to put in the lacquer coffee table.
Yeah.
But then we weren't allowed to touch it
Yeah.
because if you like literally touched
You
it
could
with
see
it,
the fingerprint.
you could see, and then they put in a pink wool rug, like a like you floor to floor, like
Oh, this was like you were getting towards the late 80s because it was the dusty rose black and white
yes,
and gray.
wall to wall. If I'm saying floor to floor, I meant wall to wall.
Yeah.
Wall to wall carpeting in pink.
Yep.
And then like, but then we couldn't like, I mean, it showed everything. And that was the family room. So I guess the point that I'm trying to make is when I had a home of my own and for me, again, like it was always important for me to have a beautiful home that reflected me, that reflected my style and my taste and everything. But I wanted it to be a place where I could have kids, dogs, like a crazy person. I have 3 dogs.
Yeah.
You know? Where the kids can have their friends over, and I'm not like, don't touch this, like having a heart attack, that like something, I wanted it to be beautiful but
Yeah.
comfortable. And to this day, like I'm always saying, like my home is open to friends and family all the time. This
Yeah.
is the place where the kids have their friends over, their sleepovers. My family comes here. I hosted my cousin's wedding in my backyard a couple summers ago. Like I just wanted that, which to me really like fills the home with that energy and a lived in energy, not that it feels like that it was like beautiful but like a museum like what I grew up in.
And I think a lot of us experienced that growing up. I think you either went
Yeah.
through that type of parent or you went through the one who didn't care like at all. And I
Okay.
think that it's a balance,
It's a
but it's
balance.
the energy in which you're infusing. So you picked up on I couldn't touch things, I couldn't whatever,
Yes.
access and rigidity, right? And that
Yes.
probably manifested in a lot of different ways in your life.
Yes.
And that's the energy which you brought in, right?
Mhm.
And then in antithesis of that, you
Yes.
created something different, right?
Yes.
So it's the same thing in the sense where it's a balance. Like I love beautiful things, but I
Mhm.
also know the like I know the stage of my life I'm in
Yes.
and the age that I'm in. And so there's functionality and my daughter's house, we have a swing in the middle of our living room right now,
Yeah.
hanging from the rafters. And I love that for her. Like I love that she's being raised in a home that is like it's her, but it's
Yes.
also like style and it's color and it's not too serious.
Yes.
And I love that. And I think that when it's little people, they absorb the energy of that. So if you're in a world of no, no, no's,
Yes.
you internalize that in a lot of different ways.
Yes.
And so that's why your house, like, probably the saddest case, I've never ever forgotten this. And it was before I started Conscious Home. It was probably in the beginning of my career. I remember I went to go meet with a potential client and they were telling me about the design and whatnot. And they had a little girl and they had said to me that they bought the house, but the room that the little girl was in was there was a little boy in there, and everything was like very boy, like
Mm,
sports, blue, grays, whatever. And they were like, "Yeah, but it was like there's nothing wrong with it, so she's just gonna leave it like that." And I was just like, could you imagine? It like my soul kind of like crushed a little bit
yes.
because children, like their creativity and the space to express and just nurture. And listen, maybe she loved that, but more than likely,
Yeah.
that is not what she wanted. And it didn't have to be expensive, but the fact that she had to kind of surround herself with somebody else's identity
Yeah.
for the formative years that are where she's absorbing and the sponge of her life
Yeah.
to me was like soul crushing.
Yeah, you know, yes, I agree with you so much, and it's also reminding me of a conversation I had last night with my 10-year-old, which now I feel bad because so he wants a new bed,
Okay.
and right now he has bunk beds in his room, and he's had them for the last, I mean, 8 years, or whatever. And so now I'm going to get him like a bed that has like a trundle for like
Yeah,
when he
yeah,
has a
for when he has
sleepover.
friends and
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
and I was like, okay, like this is where I would order it from. And he's like, you can choose like the shape of the headboard and whatever. And I was like, but it has to have orange piping. I was like,
Okay.
I said this down.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't want it to be orange. I was like, well, it
Yeah.
has to be orange because he has an accent wall in his bedroom and it's orange. So I was like,
Yeah.
it's going to look great if the bed is a neutral color with the orange piping. But it's like, but I don't want an orange. I'm like, I don't care. It's going
Well,
to be
there's like a balance with
orange.
that. Like I'm redoing my daughter, like so my daughter's 5, she's about to be 6.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when we moved in and she was
Mhm.
born, everything was like light colored
Yes.
and we had accents of things and it was still very like it's very I would say like more like loft look.
Yeah.
And my daughter's personality over the past couple of years has flourished in the sense where she's an artist and
Mm.
color and vibrancy. Like I don't think there's anything she owns that's not pink, purple, or honestly pink or purple. There
Right.
is no black. She refuses to wear it. No other colors. No
Yes.
green. There's no yellow in her wardrobe. There's nothing. It's not even white or cream or beige. It is pink or purple, and that is it. And everything like that she picks is sparkly or a unicorn, and
Yeah.
I love that about her. And
Totally.
rainbow. The only
Yes.
other one is sparkly and rainbow. That's the other colors she will do.
Yes.
So I've been thinking this for a while, and I go, well, I want a wallpaper, and she also needs more closet space, so we're doing this whole wall wardrobe and stuff.
Yes.
And I ordered all these samples. Now, am I gonna let her pick her wallpaper from, like, scratch? No. I am going to curate
Yes.
2 selections
Yes.
that I can
Yes.
easily choose between and be
Yes.
like, "Ever, it's either this
This
or
or
this,"
that.
you
Yeah.
know? And that's the designer, like, what are you gonna do? Like,
You know what? I think what I will end up doing is like I'll choose the bed, but then I'll let him choose his bedding.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
very fair. You're also like it's listen, the fact that he's getting a bed and the fact that
Yes.
he like that's I think enough. It's the same thing
Yes.
like with color and things like that.
Yes.
My daughter doesn't know hue. I've spent 30 years like perfecting how to
Perfect.
just like hue of a color. So it's not like
Yes.
I'm going to be like pick your poison, because the first time I picked color, I remember my first apartment, I was like I
Yes.
want yellow, and you know that yellow is one of the hardest colors you can pick, especially when it's in a closed room because it reflects off of each other. I didn't
Yeah.
know this. So I
Yes.
picked the most vibrant yellow bus yellow. And I remember my landlord at the time came in and he goes, "Oh, this is very Puerto Rican of you."
Oh.
I mean, like, I was, it was like, I am Puerto Rican, but still, I was just like, is my Boricua showing? And I was just like, and I just, now I know you have to do like a butter, like
Yes.
cream in order to get the yellow and blah, blah, blah. But it
Yes.
wasn't,
Yellow. That's
and
real
she'll mess it up. She'll be like, it'll be something horrendous.
horrendous.
Yeah.
Yes. Talking about difficult colors, like yellow is one. And then I've also found over the years that gray is so hard. Like if
Yeah.
when people want to choose like a gray, like I put gray like in my hallways and I just redid it also, is that there had been a gray that I put in and then it looked green,
Yeah.
because of the undertones.
Yeah.
I find that that's such a difficult
I
color.
agree, and I also
Yeah.
think that if you don't want it to be prison gray or, like, the
Yeah.
gray that everybody used in, like, 2005 and
Yes.
whatever,
Yeah.
it's now needs to have, like, a warmer
A
undertone.
warmer
Yeah,
undertone for sure, because
yeah.
I found that was always the
Beige
hard.
is the new gray now.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, beige is the new gray.
Yeah.
It's not the yellow beige of, like,
Yes.
the '90s, that was more yellow
That was more
beige. That
yellow.
was more like
Yeah.
I don't know, like, it was more eggshell. Now
Yes.
it's more like beige, earthy, wellness, you're in the Sahara.
So, what colors do you find are trending now? And not that we necessarily wanna, be
To
obsessed with
be
trends, but,
No, but to be honest with
yes.
you, I think nature. Like, I just met with a potential client. I
Mhm.
do a lot of restaurants. And so we met with a client about their restaurant and we showed them a presentation for another restaurant that we're
Yes.
bringing in biophilia, which is just a fancy word for like plants. And
Yes.
we're bringing in natural colors and natural wood tones, but not like super
Yes.
natural, not like '70s natural,
Mhm.
just like more of like a harmonious aesthetic.
Yes.
And they said to me, they're like, "Oh, we're seeing this a lot of places, and we were thinking about this color story for here, but do you think it's going to go out of style?" And I said, "No, I don't. I don't think nature is going to go out of style. In the sense that, do I think it will evolve with technology? Yes. Do I think
Mhm.
that in the future it'll be things instead of faux plants for like restaurants that have no windows? I
Yes.
think they'll figure out how to do real plants that
Mhm.
actually can like live. Do I think there'll be ceilings that feel like you're already outside and disappearing? Technology will interweave with
Yes.
nature. But I think that we're in a place where we're craving more of that. And so even though you're
Yes.
going to individualize it and you do like a hot pink accent or whatever,
Yes.
people are saying, I want more life. I want more plants. I want to
What?
feel like I'm somewhere else.
Yes.
I don't want heaviness. I want natural light. Like those things aren't going away.
I love that, actually, I think maybe it's next week. I'm having on my podcast my hairstylist. She was one who like gave me a pixie and made my hair blue and everything, and we're going to be talking about her life and her business. And I'm going to have to mention to her because you said the word is biophilia.
Biophilia.
Yes, so she redid her salon,
Hmm.
and what I love what she did is that when you're laying down and you're having your hair washed, she has on the ceiling, like it's faux, but these vines
A hundred
coming
percent.
down. And it is such a beautiful, easy, like simple accent. But it's like you're laying down and you see this greenery coming down, and it's very calming.
Well, that's what I mean. I
Yeah.
would say 9 time out of 10,
Yeah.
most of my clients are requesting. They don't know how to name it,
They
but
don't know how to name it.
they'll say to
Yeah.
me, "Oh, it'd be really great trees. It'd be really great. Like I like just want soothing. I want to feel like I'm relaxed." And I'm like, "Okay, so this is how that translates, right?"
Yes.
And then you are getting people that really want that glammed out and whatnot. And I think there's places for that. Like
Yes.
in Montclair, they just did Morimoto,
Yes.
and that's like a very distinctive aesthetic that you're meant to feel like you're in someplace, like you're cocooned. There
Yes.
is
You've
no
been
natural.
transported out of Montclair.
You're
Yeah.
like, yeah, and
Yeah.
there's no natural light, there's no this,
Yes.
you're like in that.
Yes.
And I think that that's for certain people. For
Yes.
me, as like not only a designer but holistically intuitive, all the things that
Mhm.
check my boxes,
Mhm.
I can't resonate with that. I
Yeah.
resonate more for when I'm going to places and I feel like I can let myself be. My nervous system goes into like relax mode, you
Yes.
know? So
Yeah.
I need to feel like it could be like supple leather, it could be like some greenery, the candles
Yes.
are lit, I feel like the music is really hitting, and I'm
Yes.
just like, "Oh," and like the wood tones are warm and I'm just like, "Yeah,"
Yes. That's
Mhm.
so true. When you start working with someone and like let's say you're meeting with a potential new client, how do you like with what you're just talking about, and maybe and you have the vocabulary and the words obviously to, like you said, biophilia, that people can't necessarily express their needs, their desires, their wants. How do you prompt someone to kind of communicate maybe what it is that they're looking for in their space?
So I think you have to look and read between the lines. So a lot of
Yes.
people will say things what they want versus it in kind of referencing it versus saying like, their language is going to be what they know.
Mhm.
So they're limited,
Yeah.
meaning that they've been exposed to only certain things.
Yes.
So they may say like, "Oh, I looked at restoration hardware." Why? Because they don't know anything else.
Mhm.
Or certain language like I yeah, I love plants, or I love like natural colors, right?
Mhm.
And then you start hearing what they're saying, like how do you want it to feel? And when they start expressing how they want it to feel,
Mhm.
there's a way to achieve that. And
Yes.
so that's when I start introducing certain language, and they're not going to fully understand it. So we always do like a mood board, or we always bring in. Now,
Yes.
in our conscious home brand,
Yes.
we do design where we connect differently and intuitively. Like I will literally go in and either feel a physical space,
Yes.
or we connect other ways and we do virtual, but I am literally using the other sense that I have access to, that I develop on a
Yes.
more everyday level, to kind of feel into what the space wants to be. So a lot of my energetic work is reading the energy of a room. We do this without realizing. Like you say, you go into a room and you're like,
Yes.
I can feel blah, blah, blah. I'm just putting a name to it, and I'm
Yes.
actually incorporating it and saying it out loud and saying, when I'm feeling what the space wants to be,
Yes.
I'm going to feel into the space.
Do you have every potential client go through Conscious Home and take the
No,
the quiz
it's only if they're drawn to
if they're
that,
drawn to that? Got
or
it.
if something clicks and I
Some
go, wow, this feels like this would be for
Mhm.
you. I'm not the type of person that I'm trying to sell this. It's kind of like this came to me.
Yes.
This was something, and I think that's with anybody. You
Mhm.
start doing, or you start doing every day, or it becomes like your love because it was something that struck a chord with you, or something you went through. And so
Yes.
then you create a business out of it, or you create whatever. So Conscious Home for me, I was like, listen, this is who I am, but I'm
Yes.
also this. I'm also Blanche the designer. So I
Mhm.
created it, right?
Yes.
If somebody's drawn to it, they're going to be drawn to it. And it's in the language that I use, the cadence that I use every day. I embody it. So when I see that people, it's clicking and we're
Mhm.
resonating and the kind of vibing in a way,
Yes.
I go, oh, have you thought of this? Would something like this interest you?
Yes.
If not, it's usually something that people come to separately and they're like, I found you for whatever way.
Yes.
And I want to introduce this into, like, I've had people have me come and do a business assessment, how to intuitively and access, like, even with their employees and themselves, how to be more conscious in
Mhm.
alignment with their
Yes.
brand and how to bring that in. We do like Akashic record reading through Conscious Home, which is not something that I
Yeah.
chose to do. It's just
Yes.
something that happened.
Happened. Yeah.
And to me, like, that life is not woo woo. It's what we all naturally have the ability to connect with, but we
Yes.
just cut it
We
off.
cut it off.
We just
Yeah.
cut it off. And it happens all the time. I see people, like, I have somebody who works with me who I think she gets hits all the time. And she'll say to me, I was driving into work and I told her, I was like, now you have to say it out loud to me so that you don't think you're crazy when it actually happens.
Mhm.
And she's like, I was just thinking of this client, and they'll call. Or she'll be like, you know what I was
Yes.
just thinking? Like, it happens all the
Yes.
time. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I need you to start saying it out loud,
Mhm.
because that is you picking up on another wavelength that, by the
Yes.
way, if we can pick up Wi-Fi, guess what?
Yes.
There's other, like, highways going on.
Yeah.
So when you're tapping into that, I want people to say it out loud. I want them to actually trust themselves and believe themselves the first time without talking themselves out of it.
Yeah.
That's like the surest way to do it.
I love that. And then I'm trying to also think of, like, for my listeners and for people that have that interest in, maybe making a change in their home, interior design, and warming themselves up maybe to a larger project. What are some simple things right now if someone's like, I just maybe want to change the energy in my space, or little things that someone can easily do on their own right now today. They listen to the podcast and they're like, I'm going to go and do blah.
I would like them to go and get some dimmers or lower their lights or add an accent light
Okay.
that they can turn on when all the big lights, like, if they don't, like, they should turn those off, and to just soften the lighting.
Okay.
I want them to have access to that. So that could
Yes.
be adding a dimmer, which you can get at, like, Amazon.
Mhm.
That could be lowering the lighting. That could be adding more candles.
Yes.
Scent. I want you to get soy candles or coconut candles,
Mhm.
just because, the toxic candles are literally killing you. So be mindful of that. I know that it can get expensive. There are melts you can do. There's incense that you can introduce. You
Mhm.
know, scent does leave an imprint, but scent is a really quick way to get to something. You could also do a simmer pot. So a simmer pot on your stove, you can put things that literally our ancestors used in order to bring in
Yes.
harmony and like wealth and all of the things and cleansing. So you can put orange slices in there, you can do nutmeg, you can
I love
do
that
all of
idea.
those things that are
Yes.
really not super expensive, and you can put them on a pot and the whole house shifts with that. You can also save it down and save it for other days. Do a simmer pot. Bring some plants in. I don't care if they're real or not. Real is you get like extra bonus points, but if
Okay.
they're not real,
Yes.
that's cool too because it's just the energy of seeing that the outdoors is indoors. Buy yourself some flowers, clean up your space, take all the crap off your counters, even if you have to put them in boxes and say, listen, let me do this and take it apart maybe next weekend.
Okay.
Just take it, just like clean it up, right?
Yes.
And then I want you to actually open your windows for a few minutes. And when you are, either I like sage, you can do incense, you can do candles, but I
Yes.
want you to clear it out. I want you to actually put a definitive line in the sand that says like this is what I want to bring into my space and this is what I'm releasing. When you do that and you open windows, there's a space for the energy to go. You're basically saying symbolically, you're releasing what no longer serves.
Yes.
So it's freezing out right now. We're under 40 degrees. Do it for a few minutes. Don't like, I don't
Yes.
want to hear people in the hospital going, I heard on a podcast. Do it for a few minutes and then shut your windows, right? So like that's like super important.
Yes.
And then if you can buy the new sheets or
Yes.
get a throw that feels super warm and fuzzy. Um, Also figure out like so we have a free quiz that you can take
Mhm.
and it aligns you with one of the archetypes. The archetypes are very much tied into color. So if you want a really quick way to say, okay, where do I want my life to go and what's being called in? The archetypes are a great way to do that. They're not going to tell you where you are, meaning that right now I'm probably in my, I don't know, like kin. Kin is very grounding. It's like very centered.
Mm.
I'm already in that. I feel that right now. But where I'm going to is I'm bringing more ease into my life. I'm bringing more joy into my life. And those colors are like marigolds. They are the yellows. They are
Yes.
the like the brightness, the sparkly, like a little bit of that unicorn flavor.
Yes.
So when I pull that and I pull kind of the bliss archetype,
Yes.
then I know, okay, I need to introduce that more in my
Yes.
life. So then I'm picking artwork or I'm picking a piece of clothing or jewelry that has like those beautiful citrine
Yes.
colors. And I'm like, oh, yeah. And so even makeup or even anything a throw in their house, artwork.
Yes.
So I know, like, for instance, I'll give you an example. So 2020 hit, like I said, dumpster fire. And
It
we
was.
had moved in and we didn't have any furniture in our bedroom. We just had the mattress and like my old dresser and the TV. And I remember saying to my husband one day, I said, I had just had the baby and I said, I need joy in my life. And obviously we're going through a pandemic on top of postpartum and all that stuff. And I was just like, I need the color of marigold. I am being completely drawn to marigold. So I bought this marigold velvet fabric, and my husband, who's very handy, made me a headboard out of the marigold fabric. And literally, the first thing when I wake up is I see the color. It's like this saturated color.
Yeah.
And I needed that. And it brought me so much joy. And it shifted the minute I woke up. I was just like, yes. And it just like was everything.
That's I love that because I can relate to that. It's so funny. So like just talking about, you know, the bedroom and what you see when you wake up. I just bought myself new bedding like on Black Friday.
Hmm.
And I have to remember the name of the company that I bought the bedding from because I do want to tag it for people who are interested. But I was so drawn to this blanket. I have to show it to you before you leave, the duvet cover. It has on it a lynx, it's like a mystical cat
Yeah.
that has wings.
Yes.
And I was so drawn to like what that meant.
Yeah.
And it's because on the duvet cover, it's like kind of like leaping and flying. And and now when I wake up, like I get into bed and I see it, and then I wake up in the morning and I see it, and I love it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was that. And then also recently, I was at a fundraiser and I bought a huge amethyst
Hmm.
and it's on my night table. And I find that I've had it now maybe like a month, and it's totally shifted the
Yeah.
energy that I feel like when I go to sleep at night.
Yeah, because crystals are memory keepers. They're
Yes.
cellular memory keepers.
Yeah.
They're how we used to anchor the grid on the planet, but for there was literally like druids and things like that.
Yes.
And so they're memory keepers. So whenever you're pulling a crystal and you're activating it, it's
Yeah.
actually reactivating the information into the energetics.
Yes.
I
It's
know that I just nerded out right there, but that's actually what's happening.
no, but I
I
love
just don't
that.
say that all the time. I'm like, oh yeah, it's just bringing good energy.
No,
Yeah.
but I love the explanation because like I've read things about it, but it's you're much more well informed than I am. But I have felt the difference. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
love that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's the symbolism, symbolism has been
Yes.
used for centuries, and they're not just symbols, they're activation codes. So think about it this way. So everything we do and embody shifts energy. There's been scientific proof.
Yes.
You literally can hook up like the little conduits to a plant and it creates music. We've all seen that. The ripples of water, you can see when you talk to certain water how it ripples versus
Yes.
not. So there's like scientific proof of all of this. I'm not speaking out of my ass
Yes.
here. But everything that you put out there is basically an activation code and it can work for you or against you. So it's the same thing where we see like just a symbol of something. There's a reason like
Mhm.
the Aztecs and there's a reason why the Egyptians and things like that. You saw hieroglyphics and you saw things like carved into stone
Yes.
because those had messages and those had activations.
Mhm.
And it's the same thing in today's society when we dress a certain way, when we put on an amulet, our talisman, when we
Yeah.
have like a certain go to, like this is like men do it when they're watching sports. I always wear this one sock because my team wins. It's like, come on, dude, that's your talisman. Like, I mean, I love that for you, Catholic and
Yeah.
all, but that's your
Yeah.
talisman.
Yes.
And it's the same thing with color and furniture. Like,
Yes.
we are signaling out what we want more in. That's really what it is.
Yes.
And it's not like woo woo. It's just like,
No.
guess what? I want to bring love into my home. You should put a pair of chairs and not one because it signals to the like universe that somebody else you're drawing them into. You should leave
Yes.
space in your closet. Guess what? You should bring in some of those pinks and those mauves because that is divine feminine and sensuality. You should
Yeah.
actually put some essential rose oil on you and put it at certain the pressure points because that's also going to activate your
Yeah.
feminine.
Yeah.
There's certain things that you should do
Yeah.
and they're tried and true, not because like these women didn't know what they were talking about.
Yeah.
It's why your grandmother had like 15 kids in a moo.
I'm also laughing to myself because when you said making room in your closet, like I gotta make some room.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you're going to make room. Like,
I know, but like if I want to like eventually invite someone into my
yeah,
life,
yeah.
I think I gotta
I think you actually should bulldoze one of the rooms and just make that a closet.
That's
Like,
what I
don't,
did in
yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
one.
Don't, I've done it to my room too. One of my rooms is a closet.
Yeah, I
I
mean
know.
that's what this was, and I took it
Yeah.
over and made it into like yeah. But anyway, I love this, and I'm so grateful for you spending some time
Oh,
chatting
yeah, of
today.
course.
This is
So
wonderful,
exciting.
and I will for my listeners include Blanche's contact information, her website, and everything, so that way you can reach out to her directly. And what is the best Instagram for you?
I love social media. I love the
Yes.
connection of it. So we do Instagram, TikTok. I love just for it. There's a whole different thing I can do on TikTok that I love about it. And then website. So it's conscioushomebgd.com or conscious home bgd for any of the platforms. And then
Okay.
it's B Garcia Designs for our regular design business. Either way, I'm very accessible.
Wonderful. Thank you. And for my listeners today, if this episode resonated with you, that's wonderful. Please share with a friend or a family member, like, comment. It really helps the podcast grow and reach a larger audience. And you can always reach out to me on Instagram and TikTok at Curated by the Cougar, on Spotify, The Cougar, the Bitch, and the Wardrobe, and on YouTube at Curated by the Cougar. Until next time.